What if I told you that the government is encouraging people to put themselves and their homes in harm's way while you foot the bill for it? Well, it is. And the program that does it just got a big cash injection from Congress. Before skipping town last week, the House of Representatives passed another massive disaster relief bill costing over $36 billion. Now, you might say, well, we've had some major hurricanes this season and a lot of damage from wildfires, so yeah, we're going to spend a lot on emergency relief. But even if you put aside the question of whether or not disaster relief is really the federal government's job, you'd still only be partially right. Just like we saw with the Hurricane Sandy bill a few years ago, politicians love to use these things to hide slightly related spending that they know they won't have to justify. In this case, despite all the swampy spin you may have heard, almost half of the latest bill, more than $16 billion, wasn't for California or Puerto Rico. It actually went to bail out a failing government insurance scheme that makes these natural disasters worse in the first place. Yes, folks, we are talking about the National Flood Insurance Program, a close-to-broke federal scheme that uses your money to subsidize insurance rates. Here's the problem. Just imagine if you built a house that kept getting destroyed by the elements and had to constantly be rebuilt because of disaster after disaster. And after every flood or every hurricane, the cost just kept going up and up and up. Now imagine you're an insurance company or a homeowner having to foot the bill for all of this. Let's face it, no sane insurance company would continue to insure this house. And knowing that, no responsible person would buy or build a house in a place where this is going to happen. I mean, nobody would put their property or their family in that much preventable danger, unless, of course, the government is screwing up the market and giving people the impression that some properties are safer than they actually are. That's right, folks. Thanks to government-subsidized flood insurance, we've now got a bunch of houses and structures built irresponsibly on floodplains, on river basins, and on precarious areas along our coasts. In fact, it's led to a system where about 1% of policies on the federal program account for around 30% of the total payouts. And of course, the artificially low, taxpayer-subsidized premiums tell buyers that their properties are safer than they really are, while encouraging developers to build in riskier zones. So when floods and hurricanes eventually happen, they hit a lot harder than they used to. And that has led to an insurance program that constantly teeters on the edge of insolvency and is not only subsidized with your tax dollars, but always in need of another bailout. So wait, you're telling me throwing a bunch of government money at something is encouraging irresponsible business practices while creating a never-ending downward spiral of public spending? Imagine that. And before you say that this is just some niche conservative or libertarian wonk issue, keep this in mind. The New York Times editorial board wanted this program reformed just 2 months ago. But what could Washington politicians do to fix the situation? Well, they could just forgive the debt like Maxine Waters has suggested, but we're already $20 trillion in the hole as a country, and I don't think anybody's going to be willing to let us off the hook for that. They could reform the program so that the prices better reflect the actual risk of building a house where the good Lord never intended a house to be built, or they could find a way to get the feds out of the flood insurance business altogether. But they do exactly what they love to do. Avoid the hard votes, kick another can down the road, and play shell games with your tax dollars by using must-pass disaster legislation to justify multi-billion-dollar bailouts. Or, in simpler terms, this. I'm Nate Madden, and this has been your Capitol Hill Brief. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.